Steve Bullock, Mayor of Lewisham, is back in the very early days when the whole elected mayor thing was quite new. And some people that I knew who run a very interesting organisation called the Campaign Company came to me with an idea about engaging young people through an elected mayor, electing a young mayor. And that really made sense to me because I'd been wanting to make or find ways to get young people engaged in the democratic process, but also to reach out to young people, make it clear that the town hall was everybody's building and not just kind of councillors and bureaucrats, but actually it was there for everybody. So they talked to me about the idea. We decided we would take our time. We would talk to a lot of people because there was no point in being a gimmick. It had to be something that would really work. And we did that, and the responses we got persuaded us it was something we should try. It worked better than any of us could have dreamed, because very quickly young people in Lewisham took ownership of it. It wouldn't have worked if it had been one of those kind of things that or terribly well-meaning, but doesn't get real. But what I thought was fantastic was the way the campaigning took off, and it got a bit made us slightly nervous at times, but that's good. And it was really interesting the way that, and again, it was the young people themselves spread the word around. There was a story told to me by the mayor of another borough who had been at their equivalent of People's Day, and a young woman stopped him and said, well, why haven't you got a young mayor? She said, I live in Lewisham and we've got this young mayor scheme and it's fantastic. And to his credit, he rang me up and he said, okay, tell me about how it works. But it was the fact that it wasn't me starting this. It was somebody who actually lived in the borough, thought it was great, who went out and made the case. I thought that was fantastic. Absolutely. It's some of it is it's kind of the water cooler stuff in some ways. It's the fact there are young people in and out of the town hall and we have conversations. I mean, one thing that really sticks in my mind is I have a much better understanding of the challenges that somebody faces now who wants to go on to university financially, because of conversations I've had with different young mayors or young mayors advisors. When young people today arrive at the university, the first thing they have to do is figure out how they're actually going to create an income. Well, in my day, the first thing you worked out was where the bar was. But it really has struck me because it's those kind of things that the world has changed. And it's fine reading about it, but it's only when you actually have a dialogue with somebody that you properly begin to understand it. In my day, you did. I mean, you got a grant. I mean, it wasn't huge, and you tried to get some work in the summer, but you weren't trying to find work during term time as well, because it was the only way you were going to be able to pay the rent and make ends meet, or end up with huge debts. And I think that changes the way you approach being a student, and it's not. I'm not saying it's better or worse, but it's different, and people like me need to understand that it's different. Three pieces of advice. Okay, before you publish something on Twitter, Facebook, send an email or any of that, take a deep breath, look at what you've written, and just be sure that you're going to be comfortable with somebody else seeing that tomorrow, next week, next year. And that's we've all learnt the hard way with that. So don't just press send, just pause and reflect on it. That's the first thing. Second thing, don't make promises that you know you can't keep. People will spot it, but in any case, you don't want to win off the back of promises you can't keep, and then spend your whole term of office having to explain why you couldn't do the things that you said you would. And I guess the third thing is, this was a piece of advice that a friend of mine gave to me very recently. She'd been in an election herself, quite a senior, experienced person, and unexpectedly lost the election. And I was saying to her, I'm so sorry, I'm really surprised that happened. And she said, look, nobody died, and there's always the next election. Just keeping that sense of perspective. Yeah, it hurts when you lose an election, but it's not the end of the world.